a single flight takes off. This aircraft spent 7 years inside a global supply chain, 6 million components, 30+ countries, 18-month lead times on a single engine. What you are about to see is something most people never consider. The machine that moves the world's cargo is itself built by a global supply chain. This is not a flight. It is the world's most complex moving supply chain. Air carries only 1% of global trade by volume, but it carries 35% of global trade by value. Every ton in that hold is mission-critical cargo. Without air freight, no vaccines reach patients. No fresh produce crosses continents. No semiconductor leaves a factory in time. Air cargo is not the expensive option. It is the only option when time is the supply chain. $9,200 per ton by air versus $50 by sea. 3 days average air transit versus 30 days by ocean. 2,500 cargo airports handling freight worldwide. When time is the supply chain, air is the answer. Before we decode how aircraft move cargo, we need to understand one truth. The aircraft itself needed a supply chain to exist. That supply chain started long before the first passenger ever boarded. The first commercial cargo flight, Albany to New York, proved aviation could carry freight. World War II built the global air freight network at industrial scale. Military necessity created the infrastructure that commerce would inherit. Then wide-body jets arrived and cargo economics transformed completely. The belly of one wide-body aircraft carries more than entire fleets before it. Container unit load devices standardized cargo handling globally. Air freight became the backbone of just-in-time supply chains. The world never went back. Today, artificial intelligence is optimizing cargo routing in real time. The network built by war is now managed by algorithms. But the principles have not changed. Speed, reliability, and precision, those have been the rules since Albany to New York. Fleet selection is a supply chain decision, not an aviation one. 3 aircraft types, 3 completely different supply chain strategies, and the wrong choice costs the supply chain every time. The narrow-body freighter operates short-haul feeder routes, domestic and regional, 20 to 25 tons payload. It feeds hub airports. When it is delayed, the supply chain pays a premium to recover. It cannot be substituted without significant delay. The wide-body freighter is the long-haul intercontinental backbone. Over 100 tons payload. Hong Kong to Memphis to Dubai. One delay cascades across 4 continents of inventory. Every hour costs $10,000 to $50,000 to the supply chain. Airlines and shippers receive what is allocated. There is no negotiation when capacity is constrained. Procurement without choice. Plan better or pay the price. The converted passenger aircraft operates on belly cargo. Dual-purpose opportunistic capacity. SCM risk. Unreliable capacity. When the pandemic arrived in 2020, Belly cargo disappeared overnight. Supply chains with no backup plan paid the full price. Now the question every supply chain professional must ask before booking air freight: which aircraft type am I relying on, and what is my contingency when it is not available? Where in the world does an aircraft come from? 30+ countries, 6 million components, 18-month lead times. The supply chain to build an aircraft makes every other manufacturing challenge look straightforward. Engines are the single point of failure. Only 3 companies in the world build commercial engines. 18+ month lead time from order to delivery. Miss the window, the aircraft cannot be delivered. 3 companies control all commercial aviation engine supply. This is the most constrained item in any supply chain on Earth. The airframe comes from Italy, Japan, the United States, and the United Kingdom. Fuselage composite panels arrive pre-built. Wings arrive pre-assembled on modified freighters. The only aircraft large enough to carry aircraft wings. Landing gear from France and Canada. Forged steel, highly proprietary. Avionics from the United States and Germany with 12 to 18-month qualification cycles. Interiors from 20+ countries simultaneously, all of it converging on one final assembly line. All of it scheduled to arrive exactly when it is needed. Nothing in advance. Nothing on buffer stock.
The engine is the most constrained object in the entire supply chain. 25,000+ individual components per engine, turbine blades grown from single crystal alloy in a furnace, operating temperature hotter than molten lava, engineered to last through thousands of cycles at -60 degrees altitude and 1,700 degrees internally in the same operating cycle. Only 3 suppliers globally saw. 1 quality event at one supplier and global aircraft deliveries stall for months. Airlines waited years, revenue stopped, supply chains broke. This happened in 2018, in 2022, and again in 2023. Engine orders placed 5 years before the aircraft flies. There is no spot market for engines. If you did not order in advance, you wait. The engine lead time is the longest constraint in aviation. Plan 5 years ahead or do not plan at all. Now the parts arrive, the make process begins. A wide-body aircraft has 6 million+ individual parts. No other civilian product comes close. And no safety stock model works at aircraft scale. Every single part is on a schedule from arrival to installation. No buffer, no improvisation. When final assembly begins in month 1, the sourcing decision was made 4 years earlier. One missing fastener halts the entire final assembly line. The factory that cannot improvise must plan with absolute precision, 5 steps, 6 months. 0 margin for error. Fuselage sections arrive and are joined in sequence: nose, forward fuselage, center fuselage, aft fuselage, tail. Wings arrive pre-assembled and are attached with thousands of precision fasteners. Engines are lowered by crane and bolted to wing pylons the moment the aircraft becomes recognizable. Interior fit out, seats, galleys, lavatories, panels installed in parallel. Flight testing, every system verified before a single revenue flight. One missing part anywhere in the sequence stops everything downstream. Assembly is not manufacturing, it is orchestration. The aircraft has been built. Now flip the lens. The machine that needed a supply chain to exist is itself the supply chain. A shipment of oncology drugs, temperature sensitive, irreplaceable, patient specific. The freight forwarder missed cold chain documentation at a transit hub. The shipment was held, not for hours, for 11 days. The product had a 14-day stability window. By the time it cleared, it was worthless. $380,000 written off. The aircraft flew, the paperwork failed, the supply chain failed. That is what air freight really means when you work in regulated supply chains. The flight is the easy part. The supply chain is everything that surrounds it. Cold chain cargo, where air is the only option. $120 billion in pharmaceutical air freight annually, zero tolerance for error. Vaccines must travel at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius continuously. Biologics require minus 80 degrees dry ice conditions. GDP certification required at every handoff point. One broken link, someone does not receive their medicine. In 2021, 25% of all vaccines delivered globally moved through air freight cold chain. Cold chain is not logistics, it is patient safety. Flowers from Kenya, salmon from Norway, mangoes from India, all moving tonight. If the aircraft is late, the cargo is worthless. Kenya to Amsterdam overnight by air. Fresh flowers must arrive within 48 to 72 hours of cutting. 600,000 tons of fresh flowers move by air per year. If the aircraft is delayed 12 hours, the cargo changes from fresh to waste. The package you ordered yesterday is flying tonight. E-commerce rewrote air freight economics. $150 billion and growing 25% per year. Cross-border. E-commerce is the fastest growing air cargo segment globally. China to the United States. 70% of low-value parcels move by air. The 48-hour delivery promise makes air the only viable mode. This created a structural freighter capacity shortage. Freighter aircraft orders doubled from 2020 to 2024. The aircraft is now the last mile for the fastest supply chains on Earth. 3 signals from the field right now, IATA. 2024 data, air freight volumes grew 11.3%, the fastest growth since the post-COVID boom. Demand is outstripping freighter capacity on every major lane. Supply chain dive. The freighter capacity shortage is pushing spot rates up 40% plus on Asia-Europe lanes. Long-term contract holders are paying half the price of spot buyers. The supply chain professional who secured capacity in advance is the one delivering. The one who relied on spot market is paying double. The World Economic Forum Global Trade Outlook. Air cargo hubs are now classified as critical national infrastructure in G7 nations. The aircraft is no longer just a logistics asset. It is strategic economic security. 2 supply chains, 1 machine. The aircraft needed a supply chain to exist. Then it became the supply chain. Every aircraft you see in the sky was built by a global supply chain operating across 30 countries and 6 million components. And right now it is running another supply chain, carrying the vaccines, the electronics, the fresh produce, and the critical parts that keep the world operating. Plan, source, make, deliver, return, enable. You started this episode as someone who flies. You ended seeing every aircraft as a supply chain, built by one, operating as another. Supply chain is not one industry. It is the invisible operating system behind every industry. In previous episodes, we decoded Formula One and football. Ahead, we will decode industries like aviation, water systems, oil and gas, semiconductors, pharmaceuticals, retail, ports, and global manufacturing networks. Because every industry looks simple from the outside until you see the supply chain underneath it. This channel is built to decode how real industries actually operate at scale through supply chain systems, how disruptions spread across economies, how inventory changes business strategy, how infrastructure creates competitive advantage, how logistics decisions shape profitability, and how supply chains silently decide who wins and who fails. And somewhere between these industries, there may also be a few unexpected bonus episodes you will never see coming. You will not just understand logistics, you will start understanding how the modern world actually operates. This is SCM Decoded, Real Operations, Deep Theory, Decoded. Subscribe, new bonus episode every fortnight.